this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how and where to store your odor and how and where to store your containers. This may seem like a little bit of an odd discussion, but as you get further into Scentwork, which by the way is also called Nosework, depending on the venue that you're doing, AKC calls it Scentwork. But as you start learning more about odor and cross-contamination and residual odor, the more sense that this video will make to you. So here is how I store my containers. In the green box are a whole bunch of my boxes. Those are all cold boxes. Everything down here on the ground are cold boxes. So I've got my sand buried containers here. I've got my empty containers that I'll use for water buried, just kind of a general box. My general containers that I found at Goodwill over here. And then any of my hot boxes are stored up here on this shelf. Now there's some people that this would probably make their heads pop off because I have my hot boxes for my odor here. I have my hot boxes for my handler discrimination here. Nick's sock only goes in here, Nick's odor only goes in here. My odor only goes in here, so I've got my K. I actually do this so there can be some residual odor that can come down to my cold boxes from my hot boxes, because that is a realistic situation for a trial. In a trial, they use the same rooms, so there may be some residual odor from wherever a hot box was the day before, sitting on the ground, or an interior hide that was someplace. And the dog needs to learn the difference between residual odor and fresh odor. And so if there's a little bit of cross-contamination here, I'm actually quite pleased with that. I'm going to show you the really sexy place where I keep my odor. While I'm okay with residual odor from the containers, the actual odor is a different story. So here is my fancy utility closet, but it has a door that seals off pretty well. The dogs are not allowed access to this otherwise. So all my odor is kept here. I've got my straws. And one of the things I do is, because I want to reuse my Q-tips, I only put the birch in the blue. So that way I know when I'm done, I can take the Q-tips that were in the blue and put them back in the birch. Right now I'm just using birch and anise, so I'll put my anise in the green. So here were some of the things I talked about in the intro video. Here's my little hangy container. Here's my mounting putty, so I have that handy. So if I wanted to do the straws or the little shrink tubing, so I could stick it on a wall or behind a door or something. This is what I use for buried. It's, whoops, there goes sand. It's a little mesh T-ball. These were the last couple that I used in here. If I wanted to reuse them, what I should actually do is not have them in here because they're going to get a lot of residual odor because they're stored right next to this. And while this is pretty good about being airtight, it's not completely airtight, which is why I keep it completely separate from everything else. I also have an airtight container where I'll keep extra bottles of odor, so that kind of contains the odor a little bit as well. I have a little scissors in case I need to chop off the ends of some of the Q-tips, because some of the items where I put a hide are really tiny. I've got my metal straws. These are pretty cool. So where you keep your odor doesn't have to be sexy. You just wanted a place where your dogs really aren't going to have access, and you're going to keep it away from all of your containers. If you find this video useful, we sure hope you'll give it a like. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. You don't want to miss any of our upcoming videos.